Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Tina, for that kind introduction. I should start by saying it's very humbling to talk after hearing such an energizing speech from Professor Sachs. I'm delighted to be joining the board of BITC and be here today. When Tina asked me to consider joining, it didn't take much persuading. The mission of harnessing the power of Irish business to maximize its positive impact on all its stakeholders in society resonates strongly with Musgrave and with me personally. Maurice also said to me, when you join the board, you know you'll find it impossible to say no to Tina. The following week, Tina asked me to say a few words today, and as Maurice said, I found myself unable to say no. Being part of the Irish business community is a unique experience. When I look around the room this morning and see the companies represented, it's clear sustainability is being taken seriously and actively supported by BITC. That said, we do need to be mindful of the fact that there are many companies who we need to reach out to. In this regard, I'm thinking of the thousands of SMEs based in their local communities who are responsible for over 60% of employment in Ireland. We need to do more to help them on the sustainability journey, and this is a theme I'll return to. I'm also delighted that Musgrave is again receiving the Business Working Responsibly mark. For us, it does give us an independent assessment of our performance and challenges us to continuously improve and to become even more sustainable. So, over the next few minutes, I want to talk about the Musgrave journey. As a family business that thinks long term, this approach to sustainability is hardwired into the very DNA of Musgrave. It's rooted in the foundations of our business, brought to life through our brands, and drives a way of working with our retail partners, suppliers, and colleagues. Today, I want to give you an insight of how we've embedded sustainability and how we're using the UN Sustainable Development Goals as a framework for the work we're doing in local communities. Our connection to local communities is what Musgrave is about. The business was started by brothers Thomas and Stuart in Cork in 1876 as they rowed out to the ships in the harbour to sell butter and sugar. It became a company in 1894 and went on to grow and diversify, developing the Metropole Hotel, a successful tea business, and several other businesses along the way. 140 years later, we remain a family business, which is a significant milestone when you think that most family businesses don't make it beyond the third generation. When people ask me about the success and longevity of Musgrave, I invariably find myself talking about the values that have sustained us throughout our history. Long-term stable relationships, not being greedy, honesty, working hard, and achievement. And the longer I'm with the business, the more I've recognized the impact that these values have on everything from governance to how we work with partners, suppliers, and colleagues. Our values remain with us today and are at the foundation of our new business strategy, which we've called Growing Good Business. When we launched the strategy in January this year, what emerged was that colleagues were inspired not just by growing the business, but by growing good business. This response reinforced for me that people want the business to be sustainable in what it does. We see this more and more as we move to 75% of the workforce being millennials by 2025. They're attracted to and motivated by businesses that have and behave with a social conscience. Ultimately, it has to connect with their own values. By focusing on growing good business and through living our values, we have a purpose which has sustainability at our core. This purpose is encapsulated in our vision, which is to develop highly successful brands that achieve sustainable, profitable returns, enrich everyday lives, and contribute to a healthier and more prosperous, environmentally conscious society. In a nutshell, it's about leaving a positive and lasting legacy for future generations. As the #1 grocery retailer and wholesaler in Ireland, we feed 1 in 3 people. We have a unique position in the Irish food supply chain, and through our partnership with almost 1,500 local retailers, we are at the heart of every community across the country. With this position comes the opportunity, if not the responsibility, to positively impact those within our sphere of influence, our people and our customers, the environment in which we operate, as well as the responsibility to create sustainable wealth for the benefit of all stakeholders. In effect, this is our sustainability strategy, to look after people, the planet, and prosperity. We've aligned our strategy with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs mark a new era in global development, and as Professor Sachs outlined earlier, we can see that they are wide-ranging and comprehensive. They're also accessible and can be used by business, large or small, as a guide to becoming more sustainable. We've used them to increase the effectiveness of our sustainability strategy. Although each of the goals are important, to make them practical for our people and effective in our business, we've focused our efforts on 9. We feel these are the areas where we have the opportunity to make the greatest impact and where we can contribute at a practical level to the advancement of the SDG agenda. We've taken these 9 and translated them into 4 areas that make sense for Musgrave. And these 4 areas are climate change, sustainable sourcing and consumption, health and well-being, and leadership in the community. So what actions are we taking in these 4 areas? Let me start with climate change. As Professor Sachs said, this is one of the biggest global challenges facing our world today. In response, we are committed to minimizing the environmental and climate change impact of our operations. One example of doing this is through our policy of energy reduction. Since 2010, all our facilities in Ireland have been supplied with 100% green electricity. We've also extended the supply agreement to make green power available to our colleagues and retail partners. Another example is waste elimination. Waste avoidance and minimization are the preferred options when it comes to dealing with waste. However, for waste that can't be avoided, Musgrave aims to maximize recovery and recycling. As early as the 90s, we led the way in waste management in the retail sector in Ireland. Since those early days, our recycling rate has climbed by 35% to a point where we now send zero recoverable waste to landfill. In the area of transport, as the operator of the largest fleet in Ireland, we want to reduce our emissions through journeys where and when possible, operating best practice, and achieving better vehicle efficiency through driver training and enhanced vehicle maintenance programs. This work has delivered real reductions in our absolute carbon footprint and in our emissions per kilometre. We do, however, know that we have more to do in this area, but we are pleased that as a result of our actions, that whilst the business has grown over 50%, our carbon footprint has reduced by more than 50% in absolute terms. Turning to the area of sustainable sourcing and consumption, the world of food is changing at a remarkable pace. The consumer's relationship with food has also changed. We're living in a world where complex global issues affect our food production, raising questions about how we source, distribute, and consume food. Musgrave's ethical sourcing policy is based on the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and forms part of our standard terms and conditions. Our policy is to commit to sourcing ethically and sustainably, but also to source as much of our products as possible from local suppliers. SuperValu alone uses over 1,800 Irish suppliers, more than any other grocer in Ireland. That connection between food and local community is fundamental to what we do, and we're getting good traction. For example, Food Academy is a collaboration between SuperValu, the local enterprise offices, and Board Beer designed to give small producers a big opportunity to scale up sustainably. To date, over 375 of these producers have their products on our shelves. This has created 1,100 local jobs and will rise to over 1,500 in the next year. In addition, these producers now have access to being able to access over 6,000 food service customers through our Food Service Academy. We're helping these innovative small food producers to develop their businesses by bringing more sustainably produced products to market. with the added benefit of bringing back jobs to communities that had often been hardest hit in this recession. We're also very proud to be the first and only grocery retailer to have achieved verified member status of the Board Beer Origin Green Sustainability Programme. This is the only sustainability programme in the world that operates at a national scale, uniting government, the private sector, and food producers, and now for the first time, food retailers. Membership has opened up new opportunities for collaboration with like-minded suppliers, growers, and farmers, where we can show leadership and make a positive impact. And this brings me onto the area of health and well-being. I'm reading a book at the moment called Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. Although we have the SG1 of poverty, in the book, the author Harari posits a view that in the future, one is more likely to die of obesity than starvation. I'm sure that you'll agree this is a shocking statement, but the truth is that we're facing into a real crisis where 1 in 4 of our children is overweight or obese. As a leading food business, we have a responsibility to play our part to address the issue of healthy living. We recognize that we're only at the very beginning of the journey, and so we've agreed to put health at the center of our business agenda. We've set ourselves stretching 2020 goals about making healthy food more affordable while helping consumers get on the road to better health. You'll have seen this come to life through our brand campaigns like SuperValue's Good Food Karma or Centra's Live Well. These campaigns are designed to make it easier for shoppers to make healthy and nutritious food choices, and for people to lead an active lifestyle, whatever their age, circumstance, or budget. We're going further and reducing the fat, sugar, and salt content in our own brand products, working to actively bias our offer towards healthier options. But we recognize that we will need to challenge ourselves further and be leaders of change in the food supply chain by positively influencing our partners. Finally, I want to come back briefly to talk about leadership in the community. Together with our retailers, we employ in the region of 35,000 people, giving a strong presence in towns and communities across the country, and real insight into the issues that matter most to people locally. Our SuperValue and Centra sponsorships of the GAA and Tided Towns, together with the thousands of small gestures that epitomize what it is to be a good neighbor, signal how central community is to our brands. We're proud to support local retailers, suppliers, and farmers, and help them to become more sustainable. There is no reason why SDGs can't equally apply to a small business in a rural environment as a large business in an urban metropolis. For me, the same principles apply. Make it authentic and practical for the business, its people and customers, and the environment in which it operates. As we celebrate our 140th year in business, we're thinking about the next chapter in our history. Sustainability will continue to be at the core of our business, but I believe that we can go even further. The SDGs are an important driver for change within the global community, and by incorporating them into our respective sustainability strategies, we can do more with our sphere of influence to positively contribute to a more sustainable future. As leading Irish businesses gathered here today, we have a unique opportunity and a responsibility to use our collective power to help and to influence SMEs in this country to become even more sustainable. Using that collective power will deliver sustainable outcomes for people today and for future generations. I look forward to being part of it. Thank you for listening.